Welcome to StoryOrbitEN, and let me start with a question that might sound simple but is actually a bit dangerous for the brain. What is the weirdest thing you can imagine?
Oh, wow. Starting strong already. I like it because my brain immediately went to something impossible, like a purple banana wearing glasses and giving life advice, which honestly says a lot about my mental state.
That is already amazing and also very useful for today because adjectives are exactly what help us turn a boring banana into a purple, wise, slightly judgmental banana.
Exactly, you're right. Adjectives are the spices of English. Without them, everything tastes kind of bland.
Yes. And notice how you just use bland, which is itself an adjective, and that is already a little lesson hiding inside a joke.
True. And for anyone listening, bland means not interesting or not exciting, like food with no salt or a movie where nothing happens for 2 hours.
Perfect example. And now let me throw another weird image at you. Imagine a tiny elephant, not just small, but ridiculously tiny, living inside a teacup.
See, tiny and ridiculously tiny already changed the image completely, because a small elephant could still be scary, but a ridiculously tiny one feels cute and harmless.
Let's slow this down and explain it clearly for our listeners, because there are some really nice adjective ideas hiding here.
Yes, this is a great moment to understand how adjectives change meaning, not just describe size.
First, look at the adjective small. When we say a small elephant, small simply means not big. A small elephant could still be heavy, dangerous, or intimidating. The adjective gives information, but not emotion.
Exactly. Now compare that with tiny. Tiny means very small, much smaller than expected. It already adds emotion. A tiny elephant sounds less threatening and more cute.
And then we push it even further with ridiculously tiny. Here, ridiculously is an adverb, and it intensifies the adjective tiny. It suggests something so small that it feels funny or unrealistic.
Right, ridiculously tiny is not just about size anymore. It creates an image that feels playful, almost cartoonish. You imagine something harmless, maybe even adorable.
Exactly, and that is one key thing about adjectives. They shape how we feel about nouns. They are emotional paint.
Emotional paint. I like that, and it makes me think of another strange scene. A nervous cloud floating above your head, whispering pessimistic comments all day.
That sounds exhausting and also very descriptive, and nervous and pessimistic are doing a lot of work there.
First adjective, nervous. Nervous describes a feeling of worry, stress, or anxiety. When we say a nervous cloud, we give the cloud a human emotion. We imagine it shaking, overthinking, or feeling uneasy.
Exactly. Clouds are not nervous in real life, so this adjective makes the image strange and funny. It turns the cloud into a character.
Now, the second adjective, pessimistic. Pessimistic means expecting bad things to happen, always seeing the negative side.
So when the cloud whispers pessimistic comments, we imagine it saying things like, "This will not work," or "Today is going to be terrible."
Notice how these two adjectives work together. Nervous shows emotional tension and pessimistic shows negative thinking. Together, they create a very clear mood.
And this is why we said adjectives are emotional paint. They paint feelings, attitudes, and personality onto nouns.
Yes, and this is important for learners. Adjectives usually come before the noun in English. So we say a nervous cloud, not a cloud nervous.
Many languages put adjectives after the noun, so learners often translate directly. But in English, that sounds unnatural.
Now the second idea is stacking adjectives, which just means using more than one adjective before a noun.
When we stack adjectives, English has a preferred order, even if native speakers do not think about it consciously.
A useful way to understand it is this general pattern: opinion, size, age, color, then the noun.
Great comparison, and weird images help memory, which is why today we are leaning into strange things. The key takeaway for learners is this: adjective order is not about memorizing rules like math.
It is about exposure. The more you hear English, the more the correct order starts to feel right.
And exaggeration helps because funny examples stick in your memory. So do not panic. Start with one adjective, then two, and let your ear guide you.
And remember, even native speakers care more about clarity than perfection. Now, Imagine a very confident toaster that believes it is a famous artist.
I love confident toaster because confident is a personality adjective and it makes the toaster feel almost human.
Yes. And this is a great example of how adjectives do more than describe size or color. They can give objects personality and emotion.
And personality adjectives are very common in daily English, like friendly neighbor, rude driver, lazy cat. In friendly neighbor, the adjective friendly tells us the neighbor is kind, open, and pleasant to interact with. We immediately imagine someone who smiles and says hello.
In rude driver, the adjective rude describes behavior, not appearance. We imagine someone who does not respect others, maybe honks a lot or cuts people off in traffic.
And in lazy cat, lazy describes a typical habit or attitude. We imagine a cat that sleeps all day and avoids effort.
Lazy cat is almost redundant, but yes, and sometimes adjectives are subjective, meaning they depend on opinion.
Good point. Subjective means based on personal feeling, so what is weird for me might be normal for you.
Like my confident toaster, which feels perfectly reasonable to me.
Of course it does. And that brings us to another fun thing, gradable adjectives. Grammatically, this means they can change form to show degree.
Ah, the ones you can increase or decrease, like weird, weirder, weirdest. The base form is the adjective alone, in this case, weird. This form is used when there is no comparison, like this story is weird.
The comparative form is created by adding to the adjective. So weird becomes weirder. This form is used when comparing two things. For example, this story is weirder than yesterday's story.
Notice the grammar pattern here. Comparative adjective plus then. The word then is grammatically required in most comparisons.
The superlative form is created by adding est to the adjective. So weird becomes weirdest.
The superlative is used when one thing is at the highest degree within a group. Grammatically, it is usually used with the. For example, this is the weirdest story in the book.
So, the grammatical structure is base adjective, comparative with superlative with est.
This rule applies mainly to short adjectives with one syllable and sometimes two syllables.
Longer adjectives usually do not change form. Instead, they use more and most, like more interesting and most interesting.
The key grammar idea is this. English shows degree by changing the adjective itself or by adding more or most, depending on the adjective.
Exactly, and notice how English lets us play. We can say very weird, extremely weird, or even unbelievably weird.
Unbelievably weird is a great phrase, and learners should notice that adverbs like very or extremely often come before adjectives.
The word unbelievably is an adverb. Grammatically, adverbs are often used to modify adjectives, which means they change or intensify the meaning of the adjective.
In English grammar, when an adverb modifies an adjective, the adverb usually comes before the adjective. So we say, very weird, extremely weird, unbelievably weird.
The structure is adverb plus adjective. The adjective never comes first in this structure.
Another important grammar point is that the adverb does not change form. We do not add s or anything else. It stays the same no matter the noun.
Also notice that the adverb answers the question how or to what degree. How weird. Unbelievably weird.
And finally, some adjectives cannot be intensified with adverbs like very, but weird can, which is why this structure works naturally.
Let me ask you something, Tom. What sounds weirder to you? A silent scream or a loud silence?
Oh wow, loud silence feels weirder, because silence is supposed to be quiet and loud contradicts it.
Yes, that is called a contradiction, and adjectives can create that effect.
And learners, if you are listening, contradiction means two ideas that do not normally go together.
Nicely explained, and this kind of adjective use is very common in poetry and creative English.
Or in everyday drama, like when someone says it was a beautiful disaster.
Beautiful disaster is such a good example, because disaster is negative and beautiful is positive.
And yet everyone understands it emotionally, even if logically it makes no sense.
Exactly, and that is why adjectives are powerful. They communicate feeling faster than logic.
Speaking of feeling, imagine a lonely sock living in the fridge.
That is sad and funny at the same time. And lonely is doing all the emotional work.
The adjective lonely describes the emotional state of feeling alone, disconnected, or without companionship.
It is important to understand that lonely does not just mean being physically alone. You can be with people and still feel lonely.
In the image of a lonely sock living in the fridge, the sock is obviously not a real person, but the adjective gives it a human emotion.
This creates humor and sadness at the same time because we imagine the sock feeling abandoned or forgotten.
That is why lonely is doing all the emotional work in the sentence. Without it, the image would just be strange, not emotional.
Dear listeners, what is the weirdest adjective and noun combination you can imagine?
Take a second and think about it. Maybe write it down in your head.
Notice how adjectives help your imagination work faster.
Exactly. Because without adjectives, everything is just a thing. But with adjectives, it becomes a story.
Let me throw another one at you. A suspicious sandwich.
Suspicious sandwich immediately makes me uncomfortable, like it is watching me.
Yes, and suspicious is usually used for people, not food, which makes it funny.
The adjective suspicious usually describes people or behavior, not objects. It means someone seems untrustworthy, secretive, or possibly doing something wrong.
For example, we normally say a suspicious person or suspicious behavior, meaning we feel doubt or mistrust.
When we apply suspicious to food, like a suspicious sandwich, it breaks our expectations. Food does not normally have intentions or secrets.
That mismatch is what makes it funny. Our brain knows the adjective does not logically belong to the noun, but it still understands the emotion.
This is another trick. Using adjectives with unexpected nouns.
Unexpected is itself an adjective. See how recursive this gets?
My brain is smiling, and that is a good sign.
Same. And now let us talk about adjective endings for a moment, without making it boring. Imagine a hopeful robot and a hopeless robot standing next to each other.
Hopeful means full of hope, and hopeless means without hope, and those endings change everything.
Exactly, and common adjective endings like full, less, aus, able. Help you guess meaning? The ending full means full of something, so hopeful means full of hope. The ending less means without something, so hopeless means without hope.
The ending aus means having a quality, so dangerous means having danger. And the ending able means something can be done, so breakable means it can break.
These endings are useful because they help learners guess meaning even when the word is new. Guessing meaning is a survival skill in English.
Let us check another grammar point gently. Adjectives do not change for plural. The noun becomes plural, but the adjective stays the same, so we say two weird ideas, not two weird ideas.
Another clear example is 3 big dogs. Dogs is plural, but big does not change. We do not say big's dogs.
Perfect. Now, imagine a sleepy alarm clock that refuses to wake you up.
The adjective sleepy describes the feeling of being tired and wanting to sleep. It is usually used for people or animals.
When we say a sleepy alarm clock, we give the alarm clock a human state. Objects do not sleep, so this adjective adds personality.
That is my dream alarm clock, and sleepy gives it personality.
Personality adjectives are powerful for humor.
Yes, and also for describing people, like supportive friend or impatient boss.
Impatient boss feels very real, sadly.
Too real. But now let us get even weirder. Imagine a jealous mirror.
Jealous mirror with hate looking at anyone more attractive.
Exactly, and jealous is an emotional adjective again. The adjective jealous describes the feeling of being upset or uncomfortable because someone else has something you want or gets attention you desire.
It is an emotional adjective because it describes an inner feeling, not a physical quality.
For example, a jealous person may feel unhappy when others succeed or receive praise.
In our example, using jealous for an object makes it humorous because objects do not normally have emotions.
Let us ask listeners another question. What feels weirder, a happy Monday or a sad Friday?
Think about it and notice how adjectives change days. The adjectives happy and sad are emotional adjectives. They normally describe how people feel, not days.
Monday and Friday are neutral words. They do not have emotions by themselves. When we say a happy Monday or a sad Friday, we project human feelings onto the days.
This changes how we imagine the day. Happy Monday sounds unusual, and sad Friday sounds strange because they go against our expectations.
So the adjectives completely change the feeling of the noun, even though the noun itself stays the same.
Let us create one last weird image, a dramatic potato crying about its destiny. The adjective, dramatic, describes someone who reacts with strong emotions and exaggeration. When we use dramatic for a potato, it gives the object human emotions, which makes the image funny and memorable.
Dramatic potato is the perfect place to end our imagination spiral.
And it proves that adjectives turn simple nouns into stories.
So, let us wrap up gently. Today, we played with adjectives to describe weird, funny, and emotional things.
We learned that adjective order matters, especially when you use more than one, like opinion, size, age, and color.
We also talked about gradable adjectives, how they change form, weird, weirder, weirdest, and how longer adjectives use more and most.
We saw how adverbs like very, extremely, or unbelievably come before adjectives to change intensity.
And we explored emotional and personality adjectives like lonely, jealous, confident, and how they give life to objects and ideas.
So if you remember one thing, remember this. Adjectives shape feeling, not just description. Try using one new adjective today in a sentence and share it with us in the comments.
Thanks for listening to StoryOrbitEN.
See you next time, and keep your English weird in the best way possible.